Everybody. How are you doing? Today, we are going to talk about niching down when your product is for everybody. So, or at least you think it is. And a lot of us, I think, fall into that category where our products and our services can be beneficial to a wide range of people. And so it's difficult for us to really kind of say, but I'm only going to talk to these people when all of these people can benefit from what I do. But if you're talking to everybody, you're talking to nobody because nobody knows that you're talking to them. And talking to people is markets are people. So you want to talk to, if you're talking to your market, you're not talking to this generic, ephemeral thing. You are talking to a bunch of people that resemble one another, have similar needs, similar desires, characteristics, whatever makes up that market. They're people. So you want to talk to them as people. So one of the things, Seneca and I are going to talk about why you want to do that, as well as kind of ways in which we're moving in that direction in our businesses. So for me, I kind of a combination of several of the things that I do that I'm very good at is book design as well as coaching people and helping them through their head trash, kind of helping them streamline processes, that type of thing. So what I'm kind of combining those things to do is to help business owners write books in order to use as a referral tool or a lead magnet for their business. So, but if I'm just saying that, you're like, okay, well, but that's probably not me. However, what I'm doing is I'm then saying I'm taking the same basic content. So I, of course, have written a book on how to do this and why you should do it. What?
You were talking about one specific book.
Yeah. So, what I've done is what I'm in the process of doing, I am tailoring those to specific, even sub niches of the people that I'm targeting. So one of the things I decided, even though I could talk to anybody about the same thing, because I have a history in the medical industry, then I have a better feel for what those people need, what they might want, how they're going to talk to their clients, because I have done those things. Not so much in marketing necessarily, but just as a medical professional talking to a patient or a client. So, but I'm not just saying, so that's a niche of business owners that's in the medical community who have private practices of whatever. Then I'm also I'm going down to chiropractors. I'm going down to naturopaths. I'm going down to like specific professions within that niche. So I've got very small slices of this pie. And I'm not necessarily, so I'm niching down so that all of like the book title refers to that profession. The content inside refers to that profession. I have not rewritten a whole new book for all of these things. I've changed the language to speak to that particular sub niche of people that I would like to work with. So that's because then when they pick it up, they read it, they're like, oh, hey, that's me. I might could do that. So I should talk to Alice. So that's my goal and that's my plan. And that is the theory behind why you want to niche down. And that's, the more I do that, the more successful I am in what I do. So I have been resistant to that. So I get you.
Everybody is resistant to doing that work. Like, yeah. I don't know any business owner that didn't have to get over that huge hump of what is my niche, and I don't want to just talk to this one person.
Yeah.
And it's not saying that you'll never serve other audiences, right. But if you're going to get something going, you had better be specific.
Yeah.
So
Because again, if you're not talking to somebody, you're talking to nobody. They don't know that you're talking to them, and that's the disconnect. So it isn't that you're doing a bad thing or you're not having a benefit for them, but they don't know that. So yeah. So that's by doing multiple sub niches, I have kind of consoled myself.
well, and I haven't wanted to go there.
Mhm.
I've kept it broad so far. Well, not broad, but Freedom Flowers, obviously everybody goes through stuff. Everybody could benefit from flower essences and getting that a little bit of emotional help and healing. But obviously not everybody wants to do that. Not everybody cares. People think that is the weirdest thing ever and it couldn't possibly work. So my language and my everything I do does tend to tailor to a type of person that I know will buy.
Mhm.
And that's gone okay. But yesterday? So it's really super premature for me to talk about this. But yesterday, I identified a new target audience, and it's one that is accustomed to spending money like crazy. They have a humongous pain point, like they have got to get their crap together quick
Mhm.
or they're going to lose their employment. And they cannot go to a psychiatrist or a doctor or anything like that.
Mhm.
So they definitely are motivated to do something and they have the means to do it. Now, my current site as is going to be a complete turnoff to these people.
Mhm.
So what I could do, I mean, they have their own lingo. They have they're very vested in their identity as what they are. So if I can speak to that, if I can speak their language and choose my graphics differently and take all of the woo out of what I do and just give it to them as science, then I think I could do well.
Mhm.
Um, but yeah, that's starting a whole other business. That's not just.
Yeah.
Alice was bringing up to me earlier that I do niche down even within Freedom Flowers because I have a lot of automation set up within my newsletter. So it's like a choose your own adventure book. Not everybody gets the same emails. So depending on what people buy or what they click on, that shows to me that they're interested in this thing. So I'm going to talk more about that to them instead of, lumping everybody in with a one size fits all little marketing program.
Mhm.
So that's another way that you can kind of niche down without building a whole other business like I'm about to do when
Yeah.
I feel like I'm up to it because I'm kind of tired right now. But I think it's probably a good idea and I should probably do it. And, I have a lot of tools and resources and know how that it's not going to be the same as starting from scratch. So
Mhm.
take myself up and
Get her done.
yeah. But, my existing staff can all probably roll with this pretty easy and,
Yeah.
I know how to build a website. I know how to set up email. I will be okay.
And a lot of it you can duplicate because it's similar enough, and then changing the language so that you're talking directly to those people for that person on the other end of the email or website, then yeah. And the thing that I've seen, Seneca's seen as she's done this, as well as many other people in business have seen, is that you think that by narrowing your potential customer pool that you are decreasing your profit potential, and the opposite is actually the case. You are increasing your ability to succeed in business, and possibly at all, by choosing a person to talk to. So one
And
of
that is so much more true online than it is in a little hometown. In a little hometown, then you want to cater a little bit wide because your niche is everybody in that geographic area.
Mhm.
But online, you're competing with the entire world. So you have to differentiate yourself in some way.
Mm-hmm.
And if you're the person that's better to serve that person than anybody else out there, then that's who's going to get the business.
Mm-hmm. And that's one of the things Perry Marshall quotes Richard Koch, I guess is how you say his name. Coach, I don't know. About the star principle. And that's where you are the person to go to in a star business is like the top of the heap in a growing by, I think, 10% a year market share industry or arena. And then, but you can do that if you potentially serve a huge number of people. You can't necessarily be the top dog in that big of a pond. So decrease the size of your pond, then you can rise to the top and be the person that those people come to do whatever it is that you have for them. So and just like we've said, it's not that you necessarily have to just do that, although you may find that that's profitable enough and fulfilling enough for you that you do, but it's a place to get started to really hone your marketing, hone your message, and get what you do out to people so they can benefit from it. Yep. So, and that's what,
yeah.
and
it is true. Like the big thing with Freedom Flowers for so long is it attracts spiritually minded people, but the spirituality is all over the map. We've got Wiccans and we've got Christians and and everybody has their own terminology to say the same thing. And if you say the wrong terminology to the wrong people, then off with your head, basically.
Yeah. You've had quite the dance to do.
So that's another area where you might consider, multiple websites, multiple businesses. It might have been easier for me. I don't know. Probably not. I
mean, it's hard to say.
I don't know.
Back. Yeah.
Yeah.
And I think that's.
I'm happy now. It's easier than it used to be. And for one thing, I've had to kind of trade off that I don't really speak people's languages. I speak somewhere in the middle, and it's at least understandable and accessible by everyone.
Yeah.
That's probably not as powerful as if I would hone in and just speak to one particular person or people group.
Yep. And that's one thing too, that you can kind of test and measure. You can, not just Seneca, but all of us, try coming up with several different landing pages with specific copy that you're talking to a specific person. Especially, this would be a good way to test if you're not sure, who's the better fit. If you've got, a couple of choices, and then run a bunch of traffic to those and see, well, who converts. So, do that split testing, and then you can base your decision on hardcore data.
Yeah.
And that would be good.
Yeah, that would be a step up from how I did it.
Yeah. Well, and that, I mean, you don't know what you don't know, and yeah.
And I'm still there, like, okay, I'm going to say this, and I'm going to let the chips fall.
To a certain extent, that's your brand, though. Now, that is just so the people, regardless of their own particular beliefs, like that about you. So, it's, yeah, I think you'd probably lose quite a few people if you changed that too much at this point.
I probably would. Yeah. Because you still have to maintain some kind of authenticity. You can't be all fake and mirroring back to people all the time.
Yeah.
That's,
Yeah. No, if you're being disingenuous with people, they're going to pick up on that. They may not know
yeah,
what's wrong, but they'll know something's wrong. And
yeah.
I don't think and I don't think that's something that God's going to bless either. So,
Right.
there's a difference in crafting and curating your message so that it's understood by someone better than another way of saying it versus like I'm a totally different person if I'm over here in this world versus this world over here. So,
Mhm.
I don't have different values regardless of where I am. I have the same values. So, um,
Yeah. Well, you're not gonna be fulfilled in a business where you're not being yourself either,
mhm.
so
Yeah,
there is that.
yes, yeah, and one of the things I think so often, just in kind of Christianity in general, there are a lot of things that are counterintuitive. That if you just go ahead and you're like, I don't get it, but you try it and you're like, okay, but that is the way it is. I cannot explain to you how the last are first and the first are last. And, all those kingdom principles that, um,
Yeah,
that we read about in the scriptures and different things. So, and I think that this is one of them. You serve more people by trying to serve fewer.
yeah,
And why that is, there's science behind that, but I think it's also just a fundamental kind of principle.
yeah.
So,
Well, it makes room for everybody, I'm not against big corporations and stuff like that, but,
right.
I mean, really, we all have something that we need to be giving to the world, and it doesn't have to be in business, but a good many of us are supposed to be in business.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah. And I think
there's ways
historically,
to do that.
yeah, historically you had like you went to the butcher to get your meat and you went to the dairy farmer for your milk. And I mean, you went to all these different people, in the downtown and shopping. So, I mean, part of the upside of having the grocery store is that that conserves time and energy and all that kind of stuff. So, but I find it interesting that there are growing numbers of people that are kind of going back to that with the farmers markets, where you go to the farmers market and you go visit all the different stalls of the different people and you buy the things that you want from them individually. And there are some of those farmers are um, doing storefronts where they basically have like a store that's like a farmer's market where they all have individual, you can still buy, you're at a store, but you're buying from the individual farmers as well. I'm not quite sure how that works. There's not near me, but
Yeah, not me.
yeah. So it's just kind of intriguing how what goes around comes around, I guess.
Yeah.
So, but and people more and more are wanting to do business with people, not so much companies. So they want to know the person behind the thing that they're buying. So
Mhm.
by niching down, you've got the ability to speak to them and to let them know you better. So
Yep.
uh,
Yeah, it's a good thing. Yeah. It's hard to do when you're starting out, but it's worth
yeah,
it.
yeah, yep. The riches are in the niches, is what I
Mhm. Yeah.
heard. So, and I think that would be a conversation that you'd want to have with God. And that's partly why, like when I mentioned before, chiropractors just kept coming to mind. Like every time I would think, I'd like, that isn't, I go to one and they're fabulous. I'm all in favor, but that's not an area that I have a particular thing. But I
Yeah.
kept like coming across it like over and I'm like, okay, God, okay, I guess we're doing that one. So, who does God have for you to talk to?
Yeah. I think there's a lot of signs with that too, you know. it does come up over and over again. There's always a certain,
Mhm.
and we ask this because we have in our foundations class, we have a section on niche finding. And I think that's one of the questions is like, who keeps coming to you for help? What demographic is that?
Mhm. Yeah.
Who do you keep winding up? You know?
And that's in for like my inner healing business. It was other business owners was primarily, not all, but a lot of them were entrepreneurial or they had, some kind of business or wanted to go into business or I'm like, okay, evidently these are my people. So yeah, there were a lot of pinpoints going, hey, and I'm like oblivious. Oh, there it is. So yeah, take the time to listen and to and I think like Seneca said, to pay attention to what God's already saying. Because he's probably already talking to you about a group of people.
Yeah.
So and definitely jump in there with both feet. At least 8 foot.
Yeah. Well, I'd be taking that advice.
Yeah. Yeah, we all need to re-listen to this periodically. Yeah. Where has God placed you and serve those people? So, and because that's what you're doing with this, God's
Yeah.
put you in kind of out of the blue, a unique set of circumstances and a
Right.
unique group of people. So, and now you're
Yeah, and I
saying,
totally
oh, wow, I've got
because
this thing.
that was not on my radar whatsoever to do any of this stuff. But
Right. Yeah. So, and that could
here
very well
I
be.
am doing it.
Mhm. Yep. So, all righty. Well, we will talk to y'all next time.